I didn't hear any spit takes. It's like, wow. So Brian, I'm going to go like way off script. Not really. I'm going to stick right to the script. I should have included in my speech. I don't think I mentioned that our honoree is going to be receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award. His name is Ed Goldstein. And Ed has been extremely influential in my life as a musician, as he has been to many of us. He's also the best friend anyone could wish for, but hey, that's not why we're here. I first met Ed when I was 14, and he was a Peabody student teaching under Lee Martinet at Randallstown Senior High. I was still in junior high, but Ed became my brother Gus's mentor and tuba teacher, and Gus flew in from Seattle for this event today. And Ed and his band, the Peabody Ragtime Ensemble, offered us a glimpse of what it could be like to play in a professional ensemble, the sense of shared purpose, the camaraderie, the glamorous aroma of those eternally unlaundered red and white striped blazers. We were totally in awe. When I graduated high school, Ed invited me to join the Ragtime Ensemble after my former teacher, the great Grizz Gifford, left the band, and we've had many musical adventures since. Ed's musical career has been diverse and impressive, from touring the Soviet Union in the 80s with the Ragtime Ensemble to performing in a duo with tenor banjo virtuoso Bud Wachter with many symphony orchestras. And his mammoth project of editing the Tuba Source Book, which is the definitive treatise on the instrument's solo and chamber music repertoire. As a player, Ed brings the same sense of joy, sweet humor, and passion to every performance, from a backyard jam to a heart-pounding orchestra gig. To Ed, it's all music, and music is his life's blood. As a contractor, leader for musical events at the Lyric, Pier 6, Merriweather, Center Stage, Meyerhoff, Hippodrome, and many more venues, Ed has always gone to bat for labor, protecting musicians from unfair working conditions and always getting us food. And he has seen that commitment pay off in the love and loyalty of his fellow musicians. A strong believer in the value of the union, he has always supported Local 4543, has served as director at large, whatever that is, and vice president, and has always been deeply involved in the welfare of the union. There's a lot more to say about Ed, but of course, most of us know that anyway. Inspiring and influential teacher. Just the other day, we were playing trios with our friend, the cellist Erica Grant, and I kept missing the same tuba lick across registers. Ed was like, "You just need to buzz some," and presto. Musical scholar, longtime classical radio pundit on WBJC's Face the Music, highly respected band leader and orchestral contractor, but most of all, a great musician and a total mensch. We love you, Eddie. Now let's book some gigs.
Brought a few prepared remarks. This is incredible. I'm not used to being at this. I'm used to having a tuba with me and hiding behind the instrument. Thank you all for being here. I was gonna say some remarks Mike Decker said I had 1 minute, and then the music would start playing. But I'm going to take a little longer than a minute. I'm the product of what we call old school. My mother studied with, in the 1920s, with Celia Brace. I should mention every name that I'm going to mention were union members. They had a strong love of music, but my family couldn't afford a violin, so the violin maker, Nicholas Vasich, lived with the family for 3 years in return for a violin. My mother played in early orchestras with Eugene Martinet, Carl Holtzoffel Jr., and a very young Lee Martinet. She played solo violin for many weddings. Also, she was very proud of playing the funeral memorial for Franklin Delano Roosevelt at the War Memorial Plaza. My dad was born in 1900. He studied with Gustav Struby. He was the original conductor of the Baltimore Symphony and the president of the Peabody Conservatory. He was a professional jazz and classical player. He was one of the first musicians to play live on the radio with his sister, Helen. He regularly led a band on Parquet Avenue in the Chinese restaurants. And he decided to become a professional musician and went down to the union. I think it was age 18 or 19. Became a member and came home to tell his mother what he had done. And she said, "No son of mine is going to be a union member." That's what it was like back then. She made him go down the next day and unjoin. I wonder what it would have been like if things were different back then. Things are not always different, and to a certain extent, things haven't changed. It's much more professional life. One of my earliest memories was them playing a duet when I was in the crib. I don't think I could even talk, but I reached up to play the violin, and they wouldn't let me. I went to the Baltimore City public schools, and they had an incredible music program when I was growing up. Lee Martinet was the coordinator of music, and as a second grader, everyone in the city learned Scheherazade and don't mind me, my brain, Carmen. We didn't know the word leitmotifs, but we could identify every one of the characters in those pieces, thanks to Lee Martinet. In 4th grade at Pimlico Elementary, I started violin playing. My teacher was a horn player by the name of J. DePasquale. Those of you who are older members know Jay. In 5th grade, we had a new teacher, percussionist by the name of George Gaylor. Unbelievable. We moved that year to Cross Country Elementary, and I started studying with a trumpet player by the name of Frank Chimay. Frank continued with us at Pimlico Junior High, and that's when I met a fellow by the name of Klein Odie, who changed my life. Klein was a member of the BSL at the time, and he was just so inspiring. He played at Painters Mill Music Festival, music fair, and we had season tickets. After a couple of seeing him in the pit and saying hi, he started taking me backstage on a regular basis. I met Jose Feliciano's seeing eye dog. he took me out back to meet the limo driver for Isaac Hayes. And I had a tour of the limousine, which was all pink and had a hot tub in the back. And I was backstage for Ann Corio's burlesque. At age 13, that was very eye-opening experience. Yeah. I started learning the names of the musicians in the pit. A guy named John Mellick, you may have heard of him. Ray Moore, and a guy named John Crocken, who was a young guy, always had a earpiece in his head, and I could never figure out why. And I asked him one day, why are you wearing this? And he said it was listening to the Oriole game. So I got in a habit of going by the pit and asking him what the score was. In high school, I met my teacher, Louis Vergio. His nickname was Mussolini, but we got along. I played some percussion at the time in the band, but I really wanted to play a band instrument, so he gave me a tuba. I joined the Baltimore Colts band, and that's when I learned the fingerings. And I wanted to be, in my high school when I was accepted to Peabody, I really wanted to play in Ringling Brothers Circus. That was my whole goal in life. So in November of 1972, I went down to the local union to sign up because my teacher, Dave Burgundier, told me I had to be a union member in order to play the circus. So I went down to 847 Utah Place, and I was greeted by a smiling Chris Evelyn. I was ushered into the office of Harold Snooks Snyder, and he mercilessly interrogated me, whether I can read music, if I was a singer, because you couldn't join the union if you were a singer, primarily. I signed the papers, and I was asked if I wanted to meet the president, Mr. Victor Fuentiabla, who couldn't have been more encouraging to an 18-year-old, and I've never forgotten that first meeting. In 1973, a unique individual called me by the name of Zim Zimrol. You know who that is. And he, strangely enough, asked me if I wanted to play the circus, Ringling Brothers Circus, and I practically jumped through the phone. That was the beginning of over 250 circuses. And I got to meet incredible musicians like Grizz Gifford and old cadre of Al Sigismondi, just incredible musicians. I've been very blessed to continue my career with the Ice Follies and Morris Mechanic Theater and the circus, as I said. Many other venues. I estimate I've literally played close to 4,000 gigs in the last 50 years. On July 4th of 1975, I played 7 gigs in one day. I remember that intimately. When I booked a tour in Massachusetts, I booked a tour of 26 gigs in 9 days. At the end of it, Jared Denhart threatened my life if I did it again. I've been incredibly lucky with the guidance and support of the union. Constantly in the background, I've had a lot of fun. I want to give a huge thanks to the members of the executive board for giving me this award. And I thank you all for being here. So many friends, so many memories. Thank you.